Hi there, round two from the uh I keep wanting to say Tata Steel tournament, but that tournament is over. This is from the FIDE Grand Prix tournament 2017, and this is another game that I'm going to look at between GM Salem with the white pieces versus GM Ding Liren with the black pieces. And what we have here is an invitation to the two knights defense, which would occur after knight g5, and there's tons of theory on this, beginning with d5, e takes d5, and of course not knight takes d5. Then you have that old fried liver attack after queen f3. But knight a5 and so on into oblivion. So the invitation was there to play knight g5. However, Salem played d3, which I think was played by Paul Morphy back in the 1800s. Now, for those players that don't want to deal with the two knights period, you play bishop c5 right away and go into your Italian game. But knight f6 was played, d3, and then bishop c5. So just remember that if you do play knight f3, that you do kind of have to prepare for this move, knight g5. Bishop c5, and now we're into an Italian game. I've done some videos on games featuring this opening, and I think it was Levon Aronian who lost, actually playing the move d5 so early in the opening, which I couldn't believe it. c3, again, the main idea is to build up the big pawn center, the double pawn center, and this is as ancient as it gets. But with a move like c3, the natural square for the knight is blocked, of course, and black has time, okay, to um, effectively place his pieces for a counterattack in the center, and this is all well known. d6, and so you might be wondering, well, why not d4 right now? d4 right now, you can simply take, e takes, c takes, check, and then this pawn will fall under scrutiny eventually. And there's many lines in the Joko piano with where that happens. Let's go back. So bishop g5 is played, and now that I just showed you that line, you can see that it prevents this knight from moving and eventually capturing this pawn at the d4. So all the ideas are right there. And, you just gotta look into the position. Or go over a lot of grandmaster games, a lot of master games, and you'll start to those ideas will start to get inside of you. You just won't be playing based off of just memory alone. So h6. So you see the fight there. He's forcing black to do something. This is called asking the question to the bishop. That question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to capture? Are you going to move back? What are you going to do? This is critical because even though h6, right, it's like a flank move, indirectly fighting for the center. Now, if I was playing this way, I would just take the bishop. Instead, he decides to keep the pressure. You could play either way, but play can also go bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, and then b4 can be played, which is an option. I just want to show you this idea. The problem with taking kind of reinforces the d4 square for black, and now d4 still not being possible. So you did all of that, so you could play d4, and then after capturing, you bring the queen there, which adds another piece to the defense of d4. So you kind of cross your own plan with that idea. That's why after bishop takes f6, you kind of switch gears. Instead of playing d4, you can play b4, a little more positional here, and then say after bishop b6, knight bd2. And nobody's winning or losing, but you just have a game of chess. All right, so h6 was played, and Salem just went back. So he wants to maintain the threat and pressure. Remember, he wants to play this move, d4. This forces the hand of Ding Liren. He has to clarify this situation. So now, again, we're in the same point we were before, where d4 is not really an option because of the pressure on e4. However, we have these two pawns on the king side brought forward, so we must ask ourselves, is this good for black or good for white? And he castles king side to boot. All right, so of course, white would love to exploit this if he can, and this is a pretty popular line here. And practice seems to indicate that white really can't find a way to really exploit this quote-unquote weakness of black. And I say quote-unquote because if you can't exploit it, is it really a weakness? Knight bd2, h6, and now we see a4, and we see white playing on both sides of the board. Now, I'm not sure if he has time to really be playing like this, because the position is still relatively closed, but can become open in an instance. He plays a4. a6 is always an interesting move because it just allows black to bring his bishop back in case of moves like b4 or knight bd2 attacking the bishop. That's why I always say in these formations, if you're playing black, remember a6, d6, and h6. Those are like moves that are going to be good most of the time in those positions. Of course, always look at tactics. But if you look at enough of these Italian games, you're going to see a6, d6, and h6. All right, a4, bishop a7, and castles on the king side. Knight h7. Okay, so now we see that black is not going to accept the idea that these pawns are weak, but he's going to use them to start an attack himself on the king side. Watch how he does it. So h3. Okay, so he's trying to slow up, fix this pawn if he can. But now he creates a little hook for black to push. King h8. So now black gets off of the G file. Why does he do that? Because he's going to move this rook to the G file. All right. So basically the onus is on white, who provoked the movement of these pawns to h6 and then to g5. All right. So we have this reversal of fortune here, in that black is going to take over, or try to take over. That's his plan anyway. We all have plans. But now you can see that his argument of, hey, my h6 and g5 maneuver is now weak. I'm going to use this to attack your king side, versus white's, hey, I've provoked h6 and g5, and now I'm going to exploit that. So you have these contrasting ideas here. So let's see what happened. So d4, so he gets in what he wanted to get in, which was the d4 advance. And also with the old adage of, hey, I'm going to counterattack this flank pawn with this flank attack, with my own central thrust. And there it is, G5. Now, I believe in that adage that you counter a flank attack with a central attack. All right, but you still have to make the right moves because tactic is king. You have to play in the correct way. So here after G4, it's a critical decision. Okay, H takes G4, Bishop takes G4. All right. Now Bishop E2 is played, which is possible. Okay, it's possible. But let's look at, and of course the idea is just simply to break the pin that the bishop on G4 holds right now. All right. So the idea is just simply to be able to take, but not right now, because after knight E5, the bishop will end up on E2 anyway. Okay, but notice how with White's play, he would switch the play, because now this is a legitimate threat. He switches the play back to the center again. So Bishop E2 was played, and now Rook G8. King H1, getting off the G file. Queen F6. And now he plays D5, closing up the position. And now, to me, it starts getting a little shaky here. I'm thinking D takes. D takes E5 again, playing in the center. Black is amassing amassing his forces on the king side. You have to strike back in the center. With this move, D5, yes, you are attacking this knight, but you open things wide for the bishop on A7. And anytime the position becomes interlocked in the center like that, play in general automatically will shift to the flanks. Okay? In this case, black is already prepared for a full-scale attack on the king side. So that immediately is going to shift the advantage over the black because he's already, let's say for lack of a better word, he's already guessed that, hey, I'm going to attack over here on the king side. So instead of white challenging in the center, he closes up the center, and now black is already prepared with the counterattack on the king side. Now, white is not going to be able to do anything on the queen side because whatever he tries to do on the queen side is going to be too slow. Because black already has, 4 pieces over there already? And then this knight is a natural move to come back to E7. So you're talking about 4 or 5 pieces on the king side already. So all white can do then is try to fight black off on the king side, and then go for this attack over here later on. All right, so I think strategically, white already made a mistake playing D5. That he definitely should have took here. Again, playing the center. Keep the opponent distracted. His play on the flank, okay, is premature, and that's your argument. So let's go back. So D5. And so we see white's only choice is to try to fight back on the flank. Because he has no time to go to the queen side and attack. He has to stop. He has to fight, where he is right now. Knight G5. Knight H2. The bishop just drops back all the way to where it started from. Bishop G4 and Queen G6. Bishop H5, Queen G7. So it looks like white is doing a good job fighting off black. Okay, but black is still dangerously placed on the G file. G3, and I only could look at this as just a weakening of the position. I don't see any benefits that this really has. Okay, the light squares become weak, and you give a square for the bishop to come in. And that's what happens, bishop h3. Bishop takes g5, h takes g5, and now you have the king, right? Both kings are on an open h file, all right? So, of course, black can't wait to use the h file. He's in a better position to exploit this. Rook is still here. He doesn't want to give up this pawn, right? It might be fatal because if this pawn on f2 drops, then you have the attack on g3. All right, bishop g4. Desperate to trade off pieces. And of course, he takes the valuable piece in the rook. Queen takes f1 again. Got to protect this pawn. Now, black's plan is real simple. Let's continue attacking on the queen side. And this is all about, this move, queen g6, is just about maneuvering, getting the king out of here so he can transfer the rook to the open file. Okay, Salem gets his king out of there. Both kings move. Knight hf3, and the rook comes to the open file. Now, the downside for black is, the downside for white is that his queen is on f1, right? So he can't, he can't play queen h1. The piece is too valuable. Okay, this leaves black in control over the h file. a5, I don't like a5 because you don't have time to do moves like this in this position. The position is too dangerous. You have the open h file, pieces hovering around the king. You don't have time to make a positional move like that. So, you should be trying to play a move like, I don't know, queen c4. Not really trying to attack these pawns, but, trying to get the rook involved in the game. So he did a5, knight g8. What's going on with knight g8? Just bringing the knight into attacking position. It could go here or here, but I like f6 because it leaves the file open. Bring the knight to f6, attacking this piece. Now he plays queen c4, and we see the idea, to basically, this is a positional move, try to make these pawns weak. The problem is the king side, direct king side attack is always more critical than, some type of, threat to win a pawn. The threat to win the king is greater. So he rightfully ignores that, attacks this piece. Bishop f5 looks fantastic, but he just moves the queen to a fantastic square, a better square, so move is a wash, didn't really do anything. And now we see white barely hanging on by a thread. Barely. You have the rook protecting h1, knight protecting that, h2, and the bishop protecting h3. So any kind of interference with that protection, it's a wrap. Let's see what Liren did. So after queen d3, queen h5 was played. Excuse me. And what's the idea behind queen h5? Well, the bishop is controlling this square right here, and he wants to bring the rooks, both rooks on the h file. So the idea is to bring this rook here to h6 and then transfer the other rook over. Rook f1. There it is, rook h6. Rook e1. And he takes the time to do that, which is very annoying. So he attacks the pawn. bishop trades, but this just brings Ding Liren closer to victory, because now, remember I told you that bishop was one of the defenders of this kingside infiltration, right? And I said if any of that connection gets cut off, then it's a wrap, and that's what happened. So bishop takes g4. Okay, he gets rid of the knight, but now, okay, who's defending the h3 square? And Salem resigned. Okay, there's really no there's nothing that can be done. I mean, he can't even come to g1 because queen takes g3, because you got this pin. Trying to think of other defenses. If knight h3, this rook just comes over, and you just have, this penetration down the file here. So for instance, knight g1, rook a h8 can be played, and so you try to bring that over. c4, and I know rook 8 h3, and then now you have ideas of sacrificing here, and basically he was forced to resign due to just the devastating threats in the position. Queen d2. Eventually g4 is going to be played. That's really the killer right there after the queen removes itself. So like, say for instance, queen d2, attacking that. f6, let's say c5, the queen will come back here, and then g4 is going to be like the killer, because once you start removing defenders out of the way, then it's a wrap. And by the way, there's nowhere for this knight to go constructively except there, and this is when you have to have the vision to see a move like that. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Now you're attacking that. And I like to carry the games forward sometimes, because sometimes players don't understand why grandmasters resign. They be like, oh, they were still playing the position. It's like these guys see far enough ahead and have enough understanding to know, that that's basically it. And so they resign when they see, and they have enough respect for the other player, like, hey, this guy's 2700, he's gonna mate me from here. But I like to try to show possible continuation, for the average player to see. All right, again, that's a good way to play against the Joko piano, especially that bishop g5 line. But learn these two things. One is that the adage is true. You meet the flank attack with the central attack. So the idea with d5 that Salem put forward, that was not the correct idea in this position. All right, because what happened is just exacerbated black's attack on the queen side. So when he played h6 and g5, driving the bishop back, you have to keep that in mind, that he's going to argue that, okay, I can use these pawns as attacking weapons now. But you have to understand that, okay, if I can play in the center, that's my antidote. The play in the center to counteract this what you're arguing is a premature counterattack on the king side. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.